Welcome to our weekly discussion of all things current in California politics. I'm Walt Gray. Once again joined this week by the reporter Emily Hoeven, political columnist with the San Francisco Chronicle. Emily, always good to see you here on this weekend. So California faces a $68 billion budget deficit. We knew this was coming. What is this going to mean to anyone who's watching right now?
Well, I think it's going to mean a difficult calculation over the types of programs that the state is going to have to, scale back funding for, or maybe cut funds altogether. And I think the Legislative Analyst's Office, which advises the legislature on fiscal matters, was warning that it could mean less money for K-12 schools and community colleges, which is always of a lot of concern to parents, especially coming out of the pandemic when it's, harder to find teachers and things like that. And I think what is also pretty concerning is the fact that the LAO mentioned that we're likely not only going to have the $68 billion one-time fiscal problem, but there's going to be an ongoing $30 billion deficit every year after that for a while.
Wow.
So these are longer-term discussions that the state's really going to have to take seriously.
Yeah, a lot of hard decisions to come. California Congressman Kevin McCarthy has announced he's stepping away early next month. He's got seniority. He's got power. How is this going to affect us in California with him stepping away?
Well, I think it's interesting because California went from having its leaders be in charge of the House, whether it was Nancy Pelosi or Kevin McCarthy, and now we don't have a Speaker of the House, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. And I think that obviously a lot of Republicans are concerned that with McCarthy gone, no longer being Speaker, no longer even being part of the House, they're going to lose one of their biggest fundraising powerhouses, name recognition and ability to just kind of move the needle on legislation in Congress. And there's been kind of a tussle back and forth over who's going to run to fill McCarthy's seat. And there's kind of a lot of scrambling among Republicans. It's unsure who's going to really be in the running to replace him. But I do think a lot of folks in that party are concerned that, it's somewhat withering now that McCarthy is not going to be there to sort of set the agenda and bring in a lot of the money that he has for years.
Yeah, you mentioned Pelosi, McCarthy, certainly Dianne Feinstein, no longer with us as well. You have a column coming out this week about how the state, and specifically San Francisco, is approaching arresting drug dealers. What did you find?
Yeah, so I think we're seeing this kind of acknowledgement among a lot of California Democrats that we do need to take a more stringent law enforcement approach to the opioid and fentanyl epidemic. We have the governor who announced a plan to crack down on people dealing xylazine or tranq, which is being mixed with fentanyl and creating, even worse of a problem. And then in San Francisco, Mayor London Breed has embarked on this plan to not only arrest drug dealers, but also arrest drug users who are using in public. And I spoke with the SF District Attorney, Brooke Jenkins, and she mentioned to me that that strategy of arresting drug users is not effective because many of them are not accepting treatment. They'll only be in jail for a couple of hours and then they'll be released. And I think that it really speaks to this larger question in California of you have to have some response to say that society does not accept this and it's not okay to just be using or selling drugs in public. But how do you craft a more effective response on the back end where they aren't just cycling in and out of jail and not getting treatment and not facing consequences? So it's a really complex issue that I think both the city and the state are going to keep grappling with over the next foreseeable future.
Yeah, no question. Not just the dealers, but their suppliers and the suppliers' suppliers. The higher up you go, maybe that's the play. Emily, thank you. And thank you for watching. If you'd like to reach out to Emily Hoeven, you can do so at emily.hoeven@sfchronicle.com.